It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Western River featured.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's some seats up here. Come on down. We don't mind.
There's a lot of reading now.
Okay. How about a roll call, please?
Horn? Yeah. Underwood?
Here.
Gilman?
Here.
Chasm?
Present.
Lehman?
Here. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest.
We have to approve one of them.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of item C.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Conflict of interest. Public comments. Kylie's going to read the rules. When you she'll tell you, and we'll come over here to the podium. Just we'll go front to back or whatever.
Any person may make an advance appointment with the board regarding room commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. Please state his or her name in township or district. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. The board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda.
Okay. You want to start in front? Somebody else, somebody put their hands up, and we'll take anybody who'd like to speak. So, okay.
This is a concerning Brown Bridge Road, bridge, and so is now the proper time to. Okay, Steve Largent, 5445 Sharman Road. I think you know why a lot of us are here, because we're very concerned about the road and the future of, repair of that road or replacement of those culverts. And so, I know you guys are, but we have a lot of concern from an emergency standpoint. Right now, I don't believe there's an efficient way of getting emergency vehicles into our part of the road and, along Sharman and Fish Creek and like that. Mayfield Road, for whatever reason, they repaired and replaced gravel for a large section going up that hill, but then for about 150 feet right after Easton Bridge, it's all sand. We're out there with the grader today, but that's going to be just temporary. So why they continue that gravel from the east end of that bridge all the way up, and so that a vehicle could get through there, emergency vehicles get through this. You need 4-wheel drive, and it's just so safe. And otherwise, going out the back way to Ranch Rudolph from Bridge and then Ranch Rudolph Road. Again, we got a lot of sound issues with Knight Road at the intersection of Sharman and Knight. So those, if it's going to be a while, that would have to be upgraded to allow emergency vehicles from up Knight Road to turn on Sharman from Brown Bridge Road. And again, it's, we're just kind of here wondering what's going to happen and concerned about emergency access. Thank you.
What?
Hi, Frank Attorney, 2800 Riverbend, Travis Dennis, and also adjacent property owner to the Brown Bridge, the Brown Bridge site. That's on my own. The property, the home right adjacent to the bridge. I'm sorry, to the culverts. So certainly in support of a temporary fix so that emergency access can be granted. And I think it's super important, but also is what's really important is the farther ahead, think long term, and bridge replacement there, over culvert replacement is far superior. It's encourage safer, a safer area, a safer river as we move forward, continue to have additional elevated storms. The safety of that bridge also have direct impact on the safety of the folks that live downstream. A lot of times it's not, we just had this, flooding here in the last couple of weeks. Many of us along the river were affected by it. But a lot of times it's not always just the water that's the issue. It's most usually, the debris that causes, safety and property concerns. So, rather than, band-aiding and putting back in culverts, I think a bridge, a a span bridge is not only the right thing to do for the river, but it's also the right thing to do for the safety of the residents that live below it.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir. My name is Joe Breach, 3404 Fish Creek Road. Not only are we impacted on a daily basis, it adds 20 minutes to my trip if I want to make it into Traverse City, which I can only do because I have all-wheel drive. That sand pit over East Creek is terrible. The road, the other parts of the road are terrible. It's a seasonal road. And because it's a seasonal road, we can't get FedEx deliveries because the FedEx drivers won't drive on a seasonal road. My wife works from home. We get 3 to 5 to 10 FedEx deliveries a week. And now we're picking them up at the Walgreens on South Airport Road. Or I'm meeting the driver at the road closed signs at River Road. I'm concerned about the emergency access also. I don't see him here, but one of my neighbors got happy with a fire last year. And the fire department was able to get in there fast enough, or the fire would have gone across Fish Creek Road and all the way to Fight Lake. So we've had red flag fire warnings. We've had elevated fire watch. You guys are putting our lives at risk, not just our living and our time every day. How many weeks has it been? And what are the plans?
Anyone else? All right, close public comment.
Another gentleman. Line up. Sorry, I didn't see it.
That's all right. I'm a little shy.
Not short.
Yeah, you're bench.
My name's Ryan. I live on Wadsworth Road or Irish Oaks off of Wadsworth Road. And I just wanted to reiterate everything, bang the drum again is the way the detours we have right now are not really doable. Safety wise, we had furniture delivered the other day. It's like you got to go out and meet them and teach them how to drive through the sand and all that stuff. And not receiving medicines and stuff like that. It's really tough. I'd love to see if it would be a possibility for a 1-lane over the bridge, if possible, for a temporary while the things are being fixed. Just because Mayfield Road is really tough. And I see that there's a spring. I know you guys that been down through there, that spring has started. That's right by the sand pit. That's what causes a lot of issues there. But it's just not, if my folks came into town, I would have to pick them up. They couldn't come through there. But I think really for safety and really just daily life, we need to see if we could do a 1-lane on the bridge over Brown Bridge as something to think about. Thank you.
I just want to say that if nothing is done before winter, half of us are going to get screwed. We're not going to be able to get out. That's really what you do. Dakota North 3722 Irish Oaks Way. But yeah, when come winter time, that's a snowmobile trail. Half the none of them are plowed. That's the only way in and out of winter time.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Close public hearing. Move on to the action items. So we did put out a bid for Whitener Bridge to remove the culverts that have failed, concrete ash that had fallen into the river. We got those bid prices back. We had 4 bidders on there. Had Molan Excavation for $100,000. We had AJ $16,000. $16,010. We had Team Elmers for $225,000. We had Canoe Excavating for $241,060. Molan was the apparent low bid on that. They said from the day that we told them the award bidder, they need 7 days to get everything around, get out there. And they said the duration of the project would be 2 to 3 weeks. And they got that river back open and safe for recreation. Okay. There's no difference in scope for that they proposed. Everybody met the specifications. All I did say they had a little hole in their schedule right now, waiting for another project to start. So they did very aggressively on this one, trying to fill it for their staff.
That we accept the Molan excavation bid of $100,000 for the removal of the structure repair.
I'll support that. I have a question. Has Molan done this type of work before?
I believe they said they had one previous like this, but it's excavator work. They do excavator work all the time.
From an active river?
So with the excavator, they're gonna take the roadway down to a level surface there. They're gonna be able to work right there from the side of the bank and pull that stuff out.
Okay, so they won't have anything, they won't have any equipment in the river itself.
No, they'll be working on the
Additional limit.
So the board knows that the removals of the stuff was supposed to be part of our bridge contracts, right? And we were gonna pay 20% of that, the removal estimates, including all the dirt swept down the river, was $175,000, I believe. I was told.
75 was
What was the estimate. We were obligated for 20% of that anyway. So we were gonna spend $35,000 doing it. If the thing now with the public safety in the river, I think we're all in agreement. We should get out. It's about 65,000 more to us.
Can we use this total towards our total?
We did put this towards the FEMA.
Not toward our bridge.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so what happens to the 175?
Well, it will be removed, so it's not available for the contractor.
Okay.
I do have one follow-up question.
Joe,
You said they're gonna lower the road towards across the side. Which side? Both or one side? I believe they're gonna come in from like the Films Corner side. The reason I asked that is the recreational folks, the park is up. Are they gonna impact any of that recreational use on the other side? Technically, they're not supposed to be in there right now.
Not right now,
Parks are
maybe
closed and
as we get into July and August.
Well, this
Okay.
is 2 to 3 weeks.
No, I'm just overall.
Yeah.
They're gonna change it.
and the other good thing about this is when the bridge is actually permitted, let's say the contractor was gonna take a week or 2 to get the bridge out. This is done, so they can go to work building their coffer dams and putting in sheet piling and starting on the bridge. So can we have a roll call? If nobody has any more further questions, we'll move this along. College.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Chasm,
Yes.
Horn. No. Lehman.
Yes. Motion passes. Next up, the Brown Bridge Road repair.
Brown Bridge out at the same time. Brown Bridge, when we found it, it was just starting to show a little bit of undermining and voiding, but really what happened is already voided underneath the little. We got out there immediately and started to shore that up. So we didn't move that situation. A few engineers have looked at that. They said if we did not shore that up like we did, we would have lost that with Whitener. So we did put that out to bid. We did try a couple of fixes, to reestablish that, and unfortunately they were unsuccessful. It's going to take a little bit more of a major repair to get that successful. So we put this out to bid. Molan Excavating came in again at $109,400. AJ's Excavating came in at $107,000, and Team Elmers came in at $365,000. the scope of that work that they're gonna come through and they're going to crush the top of that road. They're gonna take that off. They're gonna take a vac truck and they're gonna vac that down. They're gonna de-water it. And they're gonna see exactly what's going on. We can see one void, but we don't know if there's multiple voids. It kind of looks like there is the way the road's kind of depressing there. But we don't know until we look. So that's the option of, if you take that off, there would then put fillable grout back in to secure everything back in there. And then they would put material back in, compact it down, and then repave that with the asphalt on top of that.
So are the culverts being repaired or replaced?
The culverts are in good shape. It's
Okay.
the material around them that's got washed out.
So if we still don't know everything that's going on under the roadway, is the price, is there potential for the price to change once they get in there?
There's always a potential for it to change. This is them, we did like a not to exceed, so it's time the material's up to that amount. They feel like if they find something, this is gonna take care of it. They know that there's always some issues at the inlet of the river and the outlet, or there's the thing is already planning on doing some repairs there. And they do feel there might be some other potential voided areas.
Go ahead.
We did also, we were looking for just different options. There's a few road commissions that have went with like a spray foam option on things like this to reach out. And we've used this once before in Integrity Straight Foam over on Hughes Drive. We had one that sunk and they used it and actually it was really strong. It raised the road back up again. It's pretty impressive. It's kind of a newer thing in the road commissions, but we're starting to see in the meetings, people are showing positive things with them. A few people have had, projects 5 or 6 years old. We can reach out to them and ask them how they fared for the storm. So they had no issues with it.
It doesn't dissolve either. I mean, once it's there,
Yeah. What's interesting with them, they couldn't do the full project of like crushing the asphalt, taking a liquid in there. There's a big void hole. They're going to fill that.
So that's all they're doing. Are they removing any part of the road?
No, there was 2 different ones. The one that's local was just gonna, there's a hole here, I can fill it in, restabilize. There's another company that has actually done this around Michigan quite a bit, Covey Energy. That's the one that we talked to that have done previous projects. What they wanted to do was do a ground penetrating radar, identify any voids and fill them. They came in 94,450. Again, that's not crushing the road. That's not doing any stabilization further out, putting in rear ramp.
So do we need to do both?
No, these are, we're just looking out for any options. We reached out to a lot of people. We talked to a lot of people. Again, we didn't make a recommendation to the board tonight. We just wanted to bring, this is what we found, this is information, and, get a conversation going of what direction the board would like this to go.
My last question again is, I'm looking at the bids. There's a huge range.
Yep.
Is the scope the same or did somebody propose more than the other?
These were full bid specs. Everybody met the bid specifications. Again, Molon says they have a window. Again, there's 7 days to get everything together. And then there are 2 to 3 weeks. They said if they were awarded at both, they would kind of build a bounce cruise back and forth as they're doing different parts, and they figured both projects would be about a month's time.
Mr. Chair, we do have to get this road open. We have a responsibility to open this road up.
So what Molon's bid of 109,400 involves is, correct me if I'm wrong, is they're going to remove part of the existing roadway or not?
75 foot of the roadway before the bridge and after the bridge. They're going to crush that, remove that,
Okay.
bring in a truck that's like a big vacuum, suck out the material. Once they take that off, they should be able to see if there's any voids or weak spots.
Okay. Fill those voids.
Fill those voids back in with, we call it fillable grout. It's like concrete, the grout's actually harder. It'll fill in the voided spaces around the culverts. Put material back in, we'll compact that down so it's nice and tight, and then they'll repave that full section of road frame.
And how long is what's the expected lifetime of those repairs?
The repairs themselves should last a long time. The overall culvert itself, that's in question. I think the ultimate goal, staff's been talking about this a lot. There's 3 of these double tubes all along that stretch, including supply road. Ultimately, we think that we should make a repair, get the road back open, and then we should start to have a plan where we start to take these 3 bridges and the board says over the next 10 years, 5 years, we want to plan to replace all these and put bridge structures in. Obviously, showing these double tubes are not a good system for the river.
I would encourage you to continue using timber in that area of town.
But we gotta do something else.
So if we gotta do something, the guy got it.
Yeah, I don't think based on the comments I've read.
Yeah. So, I've been there every day for the past 18 days and I looked at the difference and I saw the samples and everything that they're talking about. There's clearly some scouring that are even under the beginning of the tubes. They are different than what was at Biter. They're a full color. They have a bottom. They sit on the sand bottom where the Biter was a totally different design. So the failures really aren't related. What you have to remember is in 2012 or whenever the Brown Bridge Dam came out and the failure of the dewatering structure, the Brown Bridge Road took the surge, the 10-foot surge or whatever it was, Mr. Tuturi probably knows that it was a big surge. And I'm not complaining about the surge. I'm saying the structure that was built in 1958 took the surge. Now we had another big rain event and we have a serious concerns and it's been closed. I would not spend a lot of money on something that's from 1958. I asked Matt, I brought some slides and because I'm not a very good speaker, I'd like to talk with my slides if we could. A few years ago, the road commission was faced with a decision about some, go back to the first one. There we go. Go back to some vehicles. And we were, we didn't have quite enough trucks to keep going. And the manufacturers told our staff people, you better buy some trucks now because in the future, the trucks you're going to buy are not going to work very well. So the road commission said, oh, this is really expensive. But we think long-term at the road commission. We're not trying to think about what we're not looking at our shoes and trying to say, oh, I'm afraid. We could go to the next slide, Matt, please. The commissioners at the time, not all of us were there.
There's nothing on this.
No.
We didn't go, we could have just went to Menards and got some sheet metal and put them on the floor of these old Sterlings. And
I think you should pause.
I'm a fan of that.
Larry, is that your computer?
I asked, I'm not a technology guy.
It was working and then it stopped.
Imagine
It was-
That's what the road
and then it-
commission guys are doing in their spare time. Yeah.
Moonlight.
Moonlight. Little extra cash.
Make it a calendar.
The calendar.
Yeah, it was on it. Anyway,
Oh, well.
all right, we'll just, Stevie's going to, so you.
We went and bought, I'd like everybody to see the slides. So we went and bought trucks at the point, but the next ones after that are some older slides. Wait a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I see, guy.
You can't believe we're working on it now. So stuff.
We're gonna drop it. We looked ahead, we went and bought those trucks that you see in the picture. We paid for them in 1 year that we initially didn't plan, but we bought some trucks and we have good trucks and we have good reliable trucks and we do good snow plowing because the road commission wants to look forward, not back. Next slide, please. This is Broomhead Road. The CRA did this for us in 2022. I think they took out the culvert in Williamsburg. It was only a single there. It wasn't a double. And the next slide. This was AJ's local excavating company putting in a timber bridge. And that we paid for part of that, and the CRA, Conservation Resources Alliance, and partners paid for part of it. It wasn't, at the time the engineer said it wasn't the highest on our list to fail, but it was something on the CRA's list. This is an area of the Boardman River that is not quite so wide, so it was real suitable for the timber bridge. As the spans get bigger, the timber bridges have their limits. The next slide. That was one that my wife and I took yesterday or Sunday. I took her out for a date out to look at the bridge. I did my coffee. That's how Broomhead Road looks today. It's quite beautiful, and there's almost no obstructions in the waterway for trees and all the floats and everything connected. And I have reached out to a couple of guys, again, thinking ahead in a very short timeline as we decide what to do with this. The next slide, please. And I'm proposing we seriously look into a modular steel bridge that would span the entire section of the Boardman River there. Have no pilings in there. Way back from the bank, so it's not going to be subject to flood damage. Need more money on it anymore. It's going to be out of the river. I think we can get some partners to help us maybe pay for it. I'd like to look into it, and I've given the commissioners a guess about something. It's within our means, give or take. In the meantime, and what I proposed, and I think after the meeting you'll get some time to think about this. I don't live there, but I proposed a single lane bridge. And I look back, something was supplied to me years ago, the Boardman River Valley Master Plan, which indicated try to keep growth out of you want safety, but you don't necessarily want growth out in the Boardman River Valley. It's a great recreation area. Doing something, if we build something too big to encourage people to go out there, I think we'll be encouraged. My personal feeling is we'll be encouraging people to go out there, which is not the intent of the Brown Bridge Quiet Area. So I think we need something new and something reliable. I think the neighbors should weigh in, and we have to weigh the costs of a couple lanes. All the bridges are designed for anything we would use would be designed to carry loads like plow trucks, cement mixers, fire trucks. There's a designation HL 93 something. And but I think for the future we need to think about spending our money on stuff that's going to last 50 years. When I look at the proposals, and they're not awful, I think it's a 67-year-old bridge to start. A 67-year-old culvert, and MDOT says because it's over 20 feet, you call it a bridge. They're washing out on us. Mm-hmm. We need to, Dan just said, we need a plan to replace them. We're replacing the ones upstream, the other two upstream are on areas of the river where they're on each fork where there's not so much bank width. They're easier to deal with. There's not so much volume of water. This is the only one that's left below where the Brown Bridge Dam was. So this will be probably the biggest challenge. Although Supply Road goes over a twin tube, but the river is not nearly as turbulent down there. So whatever, if we pick one of these things, 100,000 or 300,000, there's absolutely no warranty. We can get in there and they can find, the stuff is under the bottom of the tube, the voids, and we're not going to be able to fix that. The other thing is, they talked about drying it up and putting a big pile and routing all the water flow through the better of the two now. There's no scientific evaluation that says, well, it's not so great. Now you want to double the volume in the good one. And then we're going to take it away, move it, and do the other one. This was a part of the process. I think I personally feel it's not a good idea. I'm encouraging you to think about replacing it. The old master plan says do something to discourage growth. I think we can decide on whether we're going to put a single lane or a tandem lane in there, get some input, talk to a few engineers. I think that's a viable thing. In the meantime, if we could, so that we could get some access out there for light. About this before. Something as heavy as an ambulance. Do the most minimal repair, fill all the voids we know, monitor this every day, and get busy getting a bridge out there. And hopefully, I would put it down to single lane. I would buy bin blocks and send the traffic down the center.
We have a responsibility to get this road open as soon as possible. Period. Whether we could put a bridge on it later or not. Who's bad secondary issues?
This is done by Union, Paradise, and East Bay Township.
Okay, that's not the road commission master plan, right?
No.
All right.
The road commission.
We have a responsibility to roads.
So I want to know if Dan and our engineer person thinks that the Molon bid will secure that road enough so the traffic can go back and forth on it until a future bridge would be decided upon, funding would be figured out, we could get onto the schedule.
It's hard to say with all these different rain events. I would not foresee there being an issue with this repair, but Commissioner Lehman's right. We could get in there and find something. Yeah, a nasty surprise, but I do agree that we need to get this back open. The residents, I feel it's the viable option, but
Could I have a chance to talk?
Oh, of course.
Okay. This is a no-brainer. I don't even need to reach into my executive decision-making skill set to reopen a road. Yesterday, I went out there because I'll be honest, I had to Google map where this location was. I'm not familiar with Brown Bridge. We took a timer and we timed 19.7 minutes to drive the detour. They can't get their garbage. Like GFL just started coming back out there. They can't get their deliveries. Well, we used to think that was something silly. Now that's a lifeline to most people. So this is a no-brainer. We choose to make proactive decisions rather than reactive. So I appreciate that. Absolutely, these bridges need to be replaced that are culverts. But that's something you don't do in a state of emergency. You just make the decision to reopen the bridge. So to me, a no-brainer. But I also think we need to look at the 3 bridges and make a proactive plan. Today, I think we need to make a reactive plan. The bridge is already out. So, I mean, I looked at it. We went out there yesterday. I could fit in the void. Like this isn't a little thing. And their odds are there's voids as big as me underneath when they rip up the asphalt. So I think we need to do that as quickly as possible. And unfortunately, we have to do this. One thing I learned from Dan that was interesting is of all the failures in this flat storm system, it was all these double culvert bridges. So there's something to be said for looking into that in future engineering plans. Obviously, we would want to learn from this and make decisions on it in the future, but I'd like to see this happen as soon as possible. The other thing I think is important to point out is there were over 200 of our infrastructure sites damaged in this storm. Nobody will let this sit. simultaneously, while our crews were out saving roads and bridges, repairing Marsh Road and Sawyer Road and all the other culverts and the washouts, they were also trying to do repairs that they thought would be quick for you guys and we could just get it back open. So please know that. It was not sitting empty. And in no way did we ever think a repair would take you through the winter, ever. This we thought would be simultaneously done along with the other repairs. So I just want you to know how much thought was put into this. We didn't want to close it. So tonight, we're here to make a decision on getting it reopened. If the board votes to do that, it looks as if you guys could be good to go by mid-June, which it sounds like our kids are going to be in school at least till then anyways. And more importantly, you can get your things going, but just know how much the crews and the staff here took time and effort to try to get this done for you. So I will absolutely support this. I have a personal history of not voting for Molon Excavating for my own reasons. But if that is the wish of the board tonight to get this done, I will absolutely go against my own personal belief of not voting for Molon Excavating in any bit. So I'm happy to support this tonight, however the board chooses, as long as we can get it reopened and get the services out tonight.
I think the question is, if we do a minor repair and it's able to be reopened, would that buy us enough time to do that? Practice, test the single theory, run the things down.
I think there's bigger voids underneath the asphalt. I'm not an engineer, but I think there's at least a good chance there is. And I don't think that's good. Like you said, the numbers aren't terrible.
They're not terrible, but here's what happens. Right now we could almost maybe stabilize it with the foam. And other people have done that. Jason knows the road that actually lifted back up a little bit. If we start tearing into the culverts because they're 60 years old and we damage something further, we won't have any access. If we do a minimal sort of thing and monitor everything for emergency vehicles only up to 5 tons, we can get the residents in and out of there probably next week.
But the foam bits are not significantly different than the low bit on
The 21,000 is the
Just straight up foam.
just straight
filling the
up.
visible voids.
Yeah.
I don't support doing just the visible voids. I think that there's more
I
to
gotta
that.
agree.
I will make the motion to approve the bid from Molon Excavating in the amount of $109,400 for the Brown Bridge Culvert Repairs Project.
Okay, is there support?
I support that.
Is there any further discussion? Just need to get it. Okay, let's go. Kylie, please.
Gilman,
Yes.
Chasm,
Yes.
Corn,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Lehman.
No. All right.
Would it be appropriate to have the board, helping move forward with looking at these 3 areas to start looking at, food replacement for bridges and starting to options?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we can do both at the same time.
Walk and chew gum.
Exactly.
Need a motion or this is direct?
I think
that's a direct.
it's direct. It's good.
I think it would.
We have to get out of this current year project, so it's before we can. We almost need a special map. Dr. Port Road Steering Committee.
I can't believe you guys don't want to stay till the end of the meeting. I don't understand. Be safe driving home.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
We're going across the bridge, right?
Well, I'm gonna open a ferry system next week. So it'll take her like the middle of June. Hey, I'm gonna open up a ferry system next week.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, cause we don't all have 4-wheel drive.
Right.
I know.
This is still.
That'd be awesome.
But it's bad.
Hey, you're gonna love the
traffic on it.
It's out there, Port Road Steering Committee.
And it's really bad, and, they feel that.
Keep them going. Yeah, I still don't understand why they didn't grab on that last step.
Yes.
There's a reason.
Steering Committee. I think engagement is really important for us. I also believe that, road commission's trying a lot of big projects by ourselves, without the community involved. I think we have a chance to pull this off with the community partners. I even think our ability to do this on our own is limited because how much we could actually and with partners and different plans for funding. I think we can get something done. I think Garfield is, they were talking about they're waiting for us to get some decisions here and get this moving. I think my goal of a year is pretty fast by government speed.
Especially with, since you're proposing also setting up an advisory group. That's good. It's a lot of discussion. It's not a minor project. It's a major project.
Well, I think the TC, I think it's important. I think it's important that, you know, we're going to have you catalog for this for us. I think we're going to have to, you know, I'm prepared, I know, to try a different strategy for it. And I think we need funding help. We need other ideas. We need everybody to buy in. When we've had out of town groups, engineering groups lead our thing, they've led us down a path that was not successful for us.
Yeah, the thing I like about this plan is that it's geared towards getting community buy-in, you know, at all levels of local government and also from the stakeholders, and rather than, and I know that in the past we have had similar groups and projects and committees set up. TC Talus, which later became the Hartman-Hammond bypass, but the difference between that project and this project to me is that South Airport is an existing road, and it's a tangible problem that everyone got to see and what impact it could have on the community and the region, actually, because it is a regional corridor, that I hope that everyone involved in the steering committee would be coming to it with solutions and ideas to solve a problem. And it's not my way or the highway kind of a thing, but let's get this solved, because it has been something that has been talked about here with no action. And now there's an opportunity to take action and to do something about it so that we can secure this corridor for the future.
And my list to you of the other people involved, I can see that in my mind that the groups that are going to contribute to this will each have some own expertise. We will have some financial expertise with this. We'll have some planners, and yet we won't be setting up a permanent bureaucracy that's going to add to this confusion. We have a particular problem to solve. It's limited to this group will focus on South Airport growth. The charge is find a solution that works, no matter what the solution is, that everybody can buy into. Find a way to pay for it. We've got representatives from the county here. We've got drain commissioner here, who I believe has to be involved when they have water. Plus, he's really the only countywide elected official that has specific knowledge and has actionable plans within districts to work like this. Jason,
You want a motion? I'll make a motion.
Well,
And I think that's.
go ahead.
Okay, just in the process of this, okay, I mean, it's one thing if we're going to put together a steering committee to pull together some assistance in what is essentially a repair or reinforcing the longevity of that particular corridor. If we're talking about expanding the complexity to do wonderful things like tall bridges that you can drive under and other approaches, I would say don't don't have that be a focus. We cannot have Logan's Landing is Logan's Landing. It's limited in its commercial scope. It's limited in its size and space, and frankly, it's tax base. I don't want to be the road commission that wants to return the river to its natural state. I think we need to make sure that the road that passes through that valley is a good road that passes through the valley. And I've done some estimates, taking a look at some other projects, and reinforced box culverts. Okay, reinforced steel box culverts, replaced one set at a time. We raised the road a little bit to work with it, but something like that, a little bigger than what we have, would allow the river to flow a little more freely. We have the approaches reinforced as well, and that alone is going to cost about $6 million. Okay, you're talking about $3 million per side of the road. And if we start to get onto some path, if a steering committee says, well, while we're at it, we could do this, all of a sudden those costs can start to escalate. And any advantage that we get from working with our partners at the county or the township are going to be lost, because we're going to have engineering complexity, we're going to have time complexity. I just want to lay that out there as a cautionary word.
I was wondering if I could make my presentation on that note.
I'm willing to. I've said all I have to say. I just think there's a word of caution when we get involved with a whole bunch of other people who are outside of our agency.
I could also speak to what Jason said. The original, I'm going to put my old hat back on. I'm going to age myself right now. Our original concept was to do what he said there, 2 culverts, actually open it up so that it can flow free. And we also talked about taking the east side and opening that up with a small span bridge to allow the river to go that way. So you had 2 flows of that river out of there, but actually raise the road somewhere between 4 to 8 feet, whatever the engineers thought should happen. Which would be significantly, I love your bridge, don't get me wrong, but it's significantly cheaper than put the bridge all the way across there. Sure. And probably faster to do. So I think the steering committee is great, because no matter what we do, we're going to have to, even if we try to do it on our own, we're going to have to go to the county board, ask them to bond it if we're going to pay for it out of Act 51 bond money. So they have to be a partner, just pure and simple, no matter what we do. So I do like the steering committee. But I also don't want to get this thing got out of control quick. It took a while, we got out of control quickly once it got going, and we can't have that happen.
Yeah, my expectations are the local leadership.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a small business guy. This is really thinking big. I think our community needs it. After what happened on South Airport Road, we find that it's fresh in everybody's mind. We've known that this is a creeping disaster without, I'm not saying
talking about this, the sand we got filled.
And when I just, you have to even wonder whether sand fill in a floodplain is an acceptable solution that can be permitted. There's a lot of things that are going to be out of our control in what we do, but we know we need a fix. We need to engage as many people as we can. Listen, Commissioner Corn has some things she'd like to
So
speak
last
to us.
meeting, Commissioner Levin presented an idea, and I had mentioned that I remembered an idea, but it takes a village for me to remember sometimes. So I reached out to Julie Clark. And John Syke dug this out of the basement at Garfield Township Hall, and I was a part of this. This is from December 2010. It was created by the Grand Traverse County Road Commission. I sat on the steering committees for this. I was a president of Garfield Township Parks at the time. This was what we call the Okerstrom Overpass, which is what I was trying to remember last time, which was named after Ted Okerstrom, who was part of the BASA and wanted the BASA race to continue to end in downtown Traverse City, but they needed a safe way for people to transit across, under, over South Airport Road. So, a whole bunch of us worked on this, including Steve Largent, who I kind of hoped was going to stay because he was a big part of this too, and kind of how I got to know him. Anyways, thanks to John, I was able to read this book and refresh my memory. And our friends at Garfield Township helped me. So I have my own easel and poster board like Alan did. I can tell you that I cannot afford an engineer's drawing, but I used an assessment map, and I thought this was really important. So the reason why I wanted the parcel map is because these are our neighbors to the project that we want to create, and they're our partners in this project. And it very clearly lists all of the partners. If you see the green highlighted area, that is property owned by Garfield Township Parks. At the time that I was on the board, our intention was to purchase at the township both the Verizon building and Logan's Landing. We all know that that's not going to happen now. So Garfield doesn't own this entire sandfield part of the basin, but for the most part, we have Garfield Township there. So I spoke with John Syke, and he very much wants to serve on a committee and help just make this happen. John was the county planner at the time that we created this plan, and I was a county commissioner. And John and I worked together on this. I also served as Grand Traverse County Parks president, so worked on this as well. So we pulled up the plat map from 1881, which Alan had referenced last meeting, and there were in fact 4 tributaries in this delta. This is a delta of the river. We do not have 4 paths right now for water to go through, but the natural river, if you will, had a flow and a surge. They do have 4 tributaries. So right now we have 2 ways that water goes through South Airport Road. We have the kind of concrete area in Logan's Landing, and we have what I call the tree stump area by the Verizon. So if we were to do what I believe would be the fastest and easiest fix on this, we would increase the capacity of the river to be able to flow during surges for events like we had last time. And the way that we would do that is exactly the way that we talked about it in 2010. So what we would do, as Joe had referenced, is the east side of the bridge, which I like to name everything by businesses. You guys all know that. So that's the Art Van side of the bridge, which I'm fully aware does not exist anymore. But the Art Van side of the bridge would be raised and widened completely, that you wouldn't have culvert or even box culvert. You'd have the full flow of the river to rise and lower as we want. The best part is if the floodplain were to extend during a rising event, we solely have county parkland on that side. We're not talking about any kind of residential or business area, but that would kind of be our control. That would be our flow, and that would be the most expensive part of our project. The second part would be what I call the Logan's Landing part, which clearly has insufficient culverts right now. We would use a box culvert type of thing. So the way that we had viewed it back then was we have 2 high sides of a ridge. One is at Goodwill and one is at Art Van. And we would slowly go down. And then we would come down to a part where when we get to the part where it's over Logan's Landing, we're maybe only 4 foot, 5 feet high. We would be able to deal with the majority of the surges that they had thought would happen. But over here, we would have a much higher, fully wide capacity bridge area that even better would take into account this. And what this is it was based on Vasa skiers, hikers, and wildlife being able to transit under here. Even better, what we didn't foresee in this plan is the Boardman Lake Loop was completed before actually the NER trails were completed. We thought we would have this first before the Boardman Lake Loop. Things are backward, but the good news is we can tie into that. All of our friends at CRA would help us with the water. Coastal Zone Management actually paid for this study in 2010. They were the funders of it, along with our partners at the City of Garfield Joint Rec Authority. So that's what we had there. And we would be able to tie in the entire NER system with the Boardman Lake Loop, which was the goal to begin with, simultaneously raising the road so we have a safe road crossing through Logan's Landing Valley. So that, I think, would be I don't want to flippantly use the word easy because nothing's easy, but that, I think, is the most cost-effective way. The best part is if at the lowest point, our road is only 4 to 5 feet high, we would have an egress for each of the commercial districts that are there. And they wouldn't have significant issues with their roads and the grading. And that would be done. Then we would have a slow increase up over, this is all commercial area. And that would solve our problem with our surge. It would allow for trail users and wildlife to pass underneath that area. And it would also give us a safe crossing. A lot of the work has already been done. In 2024, our road commission, all 5 of us were on it at the time, looked at the RAISE grant application in partnership with Garfield Township. And John Syke reminded me of that and provided me with some of it. Obviously, numbers changed from 2024, but the RAISE grant was the way that we had already thought that we could fund this kind of project. But when you combine that with the opportunity that we have now with different partners, i.e. a steering committee or however you want. But the most interesting and important part of this to me was what John Syke shared with me. And it's actually this parcel up here. This parcel just sold last month. I'm sure you may have all read. NMC sold their parcel on the Boardman Lake to the Grand Traverse Band. The Grand Traverse Band has a history of being great partners with us in our trail projects and our water projects. But because of their geographical location located in this area now, it makes us have an accessibility to BIA grant funding that we wouldn't have had back in 2010 when we were having this discussion. So we have the opportunity to partner with the tribe, who I already saw Alan had listed on there, to access funding that we never had an opportunity for before. With the tribal piece, with CRA, with Coastal Zone Management, and all of our friends at TART and the Conservation District, we have an opportunity to create a transit system that's good for everything from bikers and kayakers and wildlife, fish experts, to giving access to the tribe to their new, I think you guys know it's going to be like their central government hub is going to be located in Garfield Township now. So that I thought gave us some of the missing pieces we didn't have in 2010. Coupled with the fact that Garfield Township is currently working on their South Airport Road Corridor study. That study has a linchpin in it, and it's called Logan's Landing Valley. They want to have their future zoning map done. And they have an issue with that because they don't know what the ingress egress is going to be for these commercial parcels coming out of the valley. We would create and provide that missing linchpin in partnership with Garfield Township, helping us make it happen. So this was my idea in 2010, along with a lot of other great minds that sat together and came up with it. I presented it to the County Board of Commissioners in 2015. So this may look familiar. And I'm now presenting it to the Royal Commission in 2026. I'm like probably a retirement tour. I've come full circle. I'm to the end of my time in public service, but I would love to see this happen. I think it's doable. I think it's financially feasible. I think it's environmentally safe. I think it has all of the features that we need. So I would like to move forward with that. That's it.
Okay, so do we have a motion to proceed with the steering committee?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the steering committee. Is that appropriate enough?
Okay, I think we'll need,
What do you need?
I
Report back in a year on.
yeah, I think, do we need a resolution? Because we're gonna spend some money to start. I honestly, I think we need a little seed money for,
Do you want to present that next time?
I could, but I'm asking, so we get a resolution, you know, we'll figure out as we gather a funding source for this, but it needs to be, in my mind, a separate.
Well, I don't know, do you need a resolution at this initial stage? Because once you have the steering committee formed, once we have figured out what the funding mechanism is going to be, and when we get to that point, then we can always come back to the board and have a
ask for money
resolution.
to study further.
Yeah.
To study further, but at this point, we are kind of not even sure what we'll be discussing.
Right.
There are a lot of ideas.
Yes, I thought we're gonna need like a recording secretary and somebody like this to facilitate this,
So
because
if I made a motion to proceed with setting up the steering committee at this, with future action probably coming, would that
that's
satisfy with me?
yes. I did speak to Garfield about getting it on their agenda for Tuesday night.
Would that
Yeah,
You're clear, we used to have a county commissioner here.
So your motion is going to be to authorize the, formation of the steering committee with,
As presented.
as presented, and then the recording secretary, these meetings are not going to be, they will be in a way public meetings, but they're not going to be noticed as public meetings or anything like that. So I'm not sure, but I think as a recording secretary, anyone can act as a recording secretary.
I'm not so good at this, so it's.
No, I understand
The
that.
mechanism,
Yeah, I
not my-
understand. I think we can figure those things out. I think Jamaica is sufficient for now.
Okay,
And then we can always come back to the board as the need arises.
Okay,
For
Because we can change it. I mean, nowhere in here are we talking about shoot, just go on.
I don't know.
Metro.
Don't ask me.
The Metro thing.
That's probably.
The MPO.
MPO.
Yeah.
I actually did check with the MPO too, and I found out some interesting things
Okay.
about it.
We
I
have to
don't
add
think
them
it has
to-
any. The MPO, in their mission, it says they're not gonna work on stuff that they don't have potential funding for.
Okay.
Which is, they've identified funding for the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And it's not identified that they have anything for us. And then it gets into some fuzzier language, which I understood even less.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
There's a motion.
I think the steering committee is going to serve the road commission.
Okay.
That's great.
And I supported it, so.
Okay, and we're not really spending any money on it right now, so we'll just, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Hope Andy's okay.
Managers' comments. Yeah,
I'll save comments for our regular board meeting.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from the commissioners? All right, public comments. Oh.
Since 5229 Sharman Road. If my memory serves, Nolan was the one that took out Brown Bridge Dam. And their
They were the
work in the
contractors
water
there.
might not be top notch. The other thing is, sometimes the low bidder is not the best deal. Yes. Something to think
Thank you.
about.
Hi, I'm Lisa O'Brien. I'm at 3483 Irish Oaks Way, which is right off Wadsworth Road. And as a resident there, we are having difficulty getting down Mayfield Road. So I would ask in this interim period, if there's any way we can make some turnouts, because everyone drives big vehicles. Most of us drive big vehicles back there. And it's a 1.5 lane road. So you really have to get off the road, and the lip of the road is so high. We cannot pass safely. The other issue we're having is when just north of Mayfield Road, when you turn on Wadsworth Road, it is a 1 lane road over a hill there's no sight over that hill. And it's a 1 lane sand pit there. So if there's any way to do any work on that portion of the road as well, just for our safety there, that would be helpful for us. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further?
Move to adjourn.
Or adjourn.